If you've just joined us, you're watching Namibia Connects right here on NBC. Now, social inclusion is at the heart of democratic governance. As Namibia prepares for the regional and local authorities election, it is vital to recognize that true development can only be achieved when all citizens, regardless of gender, age, ability, or social status, have a voice in the decisions that affect their lives. Political analyst and project management expert Joshua Mario, a UNAM lecturer, now joins us in studio to talk to us about service delivery and the development, as well as social issues and inclusion at the regional and local level. Good morning, Mr. Joshua.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Namibia Connects.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
How would you define the social inclusion in the context of democratic governance in Namibia, especially with the upcoming regional and local authorities elections?
Thank you. Social inclusion will actually look into the inclusion of every citizen, regardless of their status in their society, regardless of their status in life, regardless of ability or rather disability. They need to be included, young or old, the elderlies, the youth, women and men, girls and boys. I think that's how I'll really define social inclusion, because we are all into this ecosystem, all right? So the ecosystem that operates must actually be able to consider and put in perspective each and everyone within the boundaries of the Namibian nation.
And what are the main challenges Namibia faces in ensuring the marginalized groups such as women, youth, persons with disabilities, and rural communities have a meaningful voice in the local governance?
Well, those challenges actually stem all the way from our historical background as a country. You know, through our colonization, through also the apartheid system that we went through. We are kind of healing from that, and that's why with our country, you know, the reconciliation programs, the affirmative action programs, and all the regulators, or rather the document that support to be able to reverse that discrimination are also in place. So definitely the voice of the Namibian woman still needs to be heard, and I must say that not only in urban areas, but the voice of a woman and the girl child must be heard even at the rural level. The peripheries of this country must be able to still give comfort to every woman and every girl child an opportunity to be heard. Like, for instance, you know, back in the day, I mean, back in the peripheries, you know, when girls are actually molested or sexually abused, they can't speak. So you can see their voices are really suppressed. It's kind of like still taboo, cultural background also. That is still, we still need to work on. But if you go to the urban areas, you can see, you know, the women are convincing, the girls have got, you know, courage, confidence, but still in the rural, we still need to do some work.
Speaking about that, Mr. Mario, what do you think needs to be done in that regard?
In that regard, that's now where we now need to tie in local and regional councillors who are able to, let me say, to have a holistic view of the people they are leading. In most cases, from my analysis, you see that, you know, these councillors get into office and they only care about certain statuses within their societies, the business people, the people with the, you know, the name and everything. But they don't really go to the grassroots to really understand that my leadership in this constituency actually encompasses everybody, including the voice of that girl child. So that's why councillors now come in, whereby they survey their areas, they look into this aspect, and they get involved into the social issues. They can visit schools and partner with NGOs that are there to actually assist into raising the voice of the girl child, raising the voice of a woman who's suppressed. So yes, in that areas, councillors can actually come in to assist in those regards.
To what extent do you think Namibia's decentralization process has improved or could improve social inclusion at the grassroots level?
Yes, a lot has been done, but I'll say, but more still needs to be done. And I'm grateful that the NDP 6 really also tries to address that. So it's a well-compacted document. We just want to see its implementation now. With decentralization, we still have some improvements to do in terms of really decentralizing services to the people. It's very sad to say that although we really see progress within our urban areas, we still have a challenge with serious issues of poverty and even, let me just say, access to basic services. Your water, food, food is becoming very scarce. There's really serious poverty when you go beyond the urban area.
Housing.
So housing, you can a roof over, over our heads. So for me, with decentralization, one of the key areas that I would also want to see improvement is the fiscal aspect, the decentralization of the ability to make decisions about finances and other resources at local level. Because we see everything centralized. Like, for instance, a project can be done here in the capital. Contractors are chosen here. Everything is here. So in the peripheries or in the rural areas or in towns, people just get information. So it's kind of like a top-down approach, which actually frustrates those who are working on the ground. And that's why you see that even collegiality also is becoming a challenge. Now, those who are working in towns, they now create that resilience with people from the headquarters. When people from headquarters are coming, it's them who know everything. It's them. So decentralization should really be tackled in a way of to really give towns and rural areas autonomy to really make decisions, including fiscal issues and resources, because they understand on the ground what's really going on. So yes, the policy is very good. A lot has been done, but I just feel more could be done in terms of fiscal issues.
Now, how can political parties and civil society work together to enhance fair participation and inclusivity during these elections?
Campaigning is one thing, but being in office is another. Yes, campaigning, let's campaign. Let's campaign for political parties, associations, or independently. That's very good because the Constitution gives that right. But the moment you take office, I think that's where I want really to focus on. Namibia becomes bigger than our political affiliation. So when you're in that office, that's now where you now serve including with those who voted for you and those who did not, by having the right of being citizens to this nation. So I'll say political parties should really state out their plans within the local and regional aspect, but also to make sure that once they are in office, they must serve the Namibian nation, because sustainability has been affected when office bearers of that level don't understand that what they are doing is actually a legacy or a build on with the next leader. So if we are to really focus on our nation and look at our social issues, because to be honest with you, poverty doesn't know from which party you belong. Poverty is poverty. So if you get into that office and you are actually assigned to serve the people, serve them on social issues, serve them on development, bring in inclusion, because by so doing, the electorate can see what you are doing, regardless of whatever party that you are coming from. So for me to really be political parties to really come together, campaign, peacefully, campaign rigorously, campaign with really the intent to really take over. But once they take over, the campaign issues now put aside, we serve the nation and its issues.
Speaking about serving, do you think enough is being done in terms of accountability?
Well, that one is a very powerful question that I'll say in some areas, yes, but in some you can see that there was a bit of relaxation. But I think with the new administration, you can see accountability is picking up. Accountability is picking up because some things are even sprouting from the previous, leaders. So we can see that at least public trust is being built slowly but surely, but accountability is very key. So political parties must also induct their officers. Should they be the preferred one by the electorate, then what they can do, political parties, especially leadership, should now say, okay, how do we account to this officer or to this councillor who's actually in this constituency? So why? Because that will actually build about public trust. It will also give credibility for the reason why I should go vote. Because if there's no accountability, then I'll withhold my vote and say I vote, but there's no accountability. So that should really be also a key priority to the political parties with their candidates.
What role should the Electoral Commission of Namibia play to ensure marginalized populations are included in the electoral process and local decision-making?
Very, very important. I think they are a very critical body to this process. They should really kind of like make decisions with data, especially maybe finding out from NSA statistics in terms of where the areas with the densely populated elderlies are, people living with disabilities are, so that they're able to bring the polling stations closer to them. So that's very key for them to understand that how do they work around those modalities. And also to really capitalize and also look at data based on the NSA to see the population within specific areas. So it's not about, and also those who have registered to vote, so that the polling stations are well dispersed, so that we don't have areas whereby people are willing to vote, but polling stations are not enough. So if we can, I mean, based on the voter apathy and how people are now keen into understanding the importance of voting, I think if the ECN can be able to really capitalize into providing more opportunities, because especially for young people don't want to really stand in long queues, you know. So if they can look into that, create more polling stations, and in whereby young people can just maybe come and stand there, maybe the long waiting can be between 30 to 40, 45 minutes. I think it will really create more people to vote, because the first 2 hours of voting are very critical, because then they start sharing already message. So the queues are proper, go vote. Or the queues are, you know, their language, bruh, the queues are so long, I stood there for 2 hours, then I said, what's the need? So ECN really has to now assist us in this area to make sure that the polling stations are enough within the constituencies, and that the process is actually well supported by enough resources to assist the voters to actually cast their votes.
How does social inclusion impact the quality and effectiveness of service delivery at the regional and local levels in Namibia?
That's very key, because if we don't cater for social issues, then we are creating people to take matters in their own hands. That's why you now see crime increases. Some actually, become really hopeless. And that's why you see in most cases also we've got a high rate of, suicide, because social issues are not addressed. The leaders may be ignorant or maybe oblivious to what's happening socially. So these issues are very key, and they're very core into understanding how that actually builds a society. A society that has a healthy component within the social space is a society that also can be productive. And also for the leaders who are aspiring to really lead their constituency, they must really make sure that they are also well-read, they're also up to date with social issues. What is it that is trending within our space? Because 5-10 years ago, things were different. Now we've got inflation rising, social issues are, bread is no more as cheap as it used to be. So all those aspects actually cripples into social issues, and it may bring about mental health issues, it may bring about frustration, it may bring about hopelessness, it may bring about actually loss of trust in the government system.
Now, how can local authorities better engage communities in decision-making to align development initiatives with their actual needs?
That one is very key. What I normally actually say is that as a candidate taking office, it's always good, you may have your ideas, but you need to understand that these local authorities or regional authorities, they've been there before. And there are also people who have been working on various programs who are now called the technocrats. So what I'll say, it's very important for the councillors to align themselves with what has been, with what is happening, and how they can add going forward. So, because 5 to 6 years may look a lot, but when you're in office and you start playing the game, you will discover that it's a very short period of time. So, my suggestion to them will be, acquaint yourself with what is there. Then from there, you add on what you have to make sure that your projects are well aligned to the needs of the people. Your service to the people is based on data, not only on hearsay by promising to the electorate, because you are not yet in the system. So it's good to get in the system and know what has worked and where can we do, especially with the aspects of regulations, policies, and law. Sometimes our councillors get in there, they are not well conversant with the laws and the aspect that actually guide their office and the office of the technocrats, and then that's why you see there are a lot of clashes. So if there will be that aspect, it will really be good. And also, induction programs are very important. Let them attend inductions, let them also be trained into how to hold those offices, because they are really the custodians of what we call in the corporate world as the board of directors, to really see the operations, or rather, not the operation, but the well governance of a particular town or municipality. So that also will assist them to get training, to be inducted, and for them to know especially the relevant laws and regulations that can assist them.
In your opinion, Mr. Mario, how can service delivery be monitored and held accountable to meet social inclusion objectives?
Well, monitoring and evaluation is also another important key that I've also seen. It actually came out vividly with the NDP 6. Also with the councillors, we are also, as the technocrats and also from the institutions of higher learning, we are also assisting them to create also monitoring and evaluation programs that can assist them. Like, for example, take it one time, take it slowly. Within a year, what do you want to achieve? Okay, by this time, because their financial year ends somewhere in July, you know already from this time to this time, within this financial year, what do I want to achieve? And how will I be able to attach, our progress out of that? That's why now they need to understand difference between objectives and goals, difference between output and outcome. So this is what I want to do. Is it an output or an outcome based? And then when that actually happens, they are now tapping into M&E. And for them to really see also the tool that they can use, to put advisory committees that can look into monitoring aspects of what they are implementing. Because monitoring is progressive, while evaluation is periodical. So if they can also surround themselves with a good team or a committee that can be able to track on whatever they are doing within the terms of reference or within what they've planned to, then monitoring and evaluation becomes easier. Why? Because there's a part what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it, and then you move along that line. Because with M&E, it's not because you have not achieved or because you've achieved. No, it's why have we achieved, why did we do good, and why didn't we achieve? So that also is part and parcel of M&E.